When last we left Deflategate, the mystery over how 11 of 12 Patriots footballs wound up underinflated during the AFC Championship, things were looking bleak. A jury of journalists and former quarterbacks had tried and convicted the hometown team. But then a funny thing happened. A plausible explanation appeared. As we first noted last week, Deflategate has made for some clever copy and headlines, not to mention a rush to judgment.
Take away their first-round draft choice.
And as Beat the Press panelist John Keller noted, this kind of instant side-taking is common in the world of sports journalism.
In no other field, not even in politics, does a news story so immediately and overwhelmingly morph into an opinion story.
Exactly. Then in a sudden turn over the weekend, Patriots coach Bill Belichick offered up a scientific explanation for the deflation.
Been slippery, tacky, texture of the ball, the pressure of the balls, PSI, a controlled climate.
The notion got traction, even credibility.
The science backs him up.
But cue Bill Nye, the science guy, who was having none of it.
To really change the pressure, you need one of these, the inflation needle.
Then again, even a science guy's opinions can be clouded by prejudice.
I cannot help but say, go Seahawks!
And I can't help but say, stick a needle in it.
All right, so still much of the media is not buying what Bill's selling. Here to hash it all out are Adam Riley of WGBH News, Josh Benton of the Neiman Journalism Lab, Dante Ramos of the Boston Globe, and Dan Kennedy of Northeastern University. I fell for this hook, line, and sinker. I believed every word that Bill Belichick said. It made absolute perfect sense to me. I don't think anybody on the team deflated those balls. And I just can't get over, still more and more quarterbacks. Joe Montana came out, I think, today or yesterday saying that he didn't believe it, on top of Mark Brunell and Troy Aikman and all these guys. It's like, you really think? That must say to me they would have done it.
One of the things that I think, in addition to Belichick's very good explanation, I do think that the media reacts to a really vehement denial. They say, wait a minute, he's left himself no wiggle room here at all. And Belichick's denial was about as vehement as it got. And I think people paid attention to that. They said, he hasn't left himself any escape here. So I think they're looking at that. I also want to point out, kudos to the Boston Globe, which did a video where they took around two footballs around the newsroom. Almost no one could tell the difference between the properly inflated one and the slightly underinflated one.
ESPN did a similar video. I don't remember who the principals were, but they had NFL players who were probably a bit stronger, no offense, than the Globe staffers involved in this video. And they claimed that they could tell the difference. I am a little frustrated, and maybe it's just because I'm still a Minnesota sports fan, which is where I grew up, and not a Boston sports fan. This notion that, poor us, the national media have been unfair to the Patriots and owe us all an apology. I think it's ridiculous. The reason the national media seized on this is, A, because Bill Belichick totally whiffed that terrible press conference he originally gave about this, where he essentially said, Tom Brady has a process, ask Tom Brady about this in a few hours. And also because of Spygate, which everyone remembers from 2007, when the Patriots did cheat. So
like everybody else.
No, not like everybody else. No, not like everyone else. So I reject this martyr complex that Emily, you and Dan are bringing.
We might have some more of this over here in Vikings and Saints fan territory on this side of the table, but I don't think it's a settled matter outside of maybe 495. It does. I think there's still very much a debate about this. Roger Goodell, the commissioner, had a press conference today in which he said the matter is still under investigation. We still have more Benghazi to look forward to. It was such an interesting week because we had warring statistics about fumble rates and then a counter data analysis to whether or not the inflation rate might lead to different levels of fumbles. We had the manufacturer of the football, Wilson, saying that Belichick's explanation doesn't hold a lot of water in their perspective. The only thing that's going to end this is we have a game on Sunday and people will forget that this happened.
I think that's right. We've reached the point where the scandal, if you want to call it that, is about to run out of gas. And Belichick's explanation, Belichick's explanation may not have been completely persuasive. It's the Patriots doing their own tests. It's not objective science. On the other hand, it sounded science-y enough to be plausible. And the Patriots needed...
Good enough for climate change.
Yeah, the Patriots just needed to inject a certain amount of reasonable doubt. At this point, nothing's going to happen before the Super Bowl, and that reasonable doubt is there.
It definitely turned the media tide just dramatically, almost stopped them in their tracks last last Saturday, right after it happened. It was like the negativity, the gross criticism. It just.
The local
and now
media.
Maybe in Boston,
The
yeah.
local.
And now we've learned that the officials
Yeah.
didn't even record what the pressure was.
All right,
so,
speaking of football, another media oddity in the run-up to Sunday's Super Bowl. Seattle running back Marshawn Lynch. At this week's mandatory media avails, Lynch has responded to reporter questions like this.
I'm here so I won't get fined. 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 I'm just here so I won't get fined. I'm just here so I won't get fined. You know why I'm here. You know why I'm here. They know why I'm here. Y'all know why I'm here. Know why I'm here.
All right, so the man clearly doesn't want to talk. Should reporters just give up or not? I happen to think it's his obligation. That's why he's there. He's a jerk. Another word I could think of.
He can play in front of an empty stadium and make no money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's entertainment. You have to entertain.
Yeah, what's his problem?
I found what he was doing wildly entertaining. I think that's
There's
fabulous.
no doubt that given the kinds of responses that football players typically give at those sorts of
Got to run the ball. You
conferences.
got to pass it better.
110%.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There was
got to get a good running game.
That's why I didn't understand all the journalists who were so angry and frustrated about it when they got much better columns out of what he did say than what he would have said otherwise.
Well, the NFL clearly needs to draft its contracts differently because maybe the players have to respond to reporters. Maybe they need to say that the players have to respond substantively, which is what he's not doing.
Yeah. I mean, but should the reporters just give up, or they know he's not going to answer? And then he got into this wild thing that we didn't. You all this, you all that. Like, what? You all what? I mean, we all would like you to answer some questions.
Let's point out, though, that sports press conferences and interviews like this should be a two-way street. Like, if we're going to say that Marshawn Lynch is under some sort of contractual obligation to give engaged answers, then maybe sports reporters should ask much better questions than those typically are in that environment.
Yeah,
it's not journalism at its finest.
No.